But the Wonder Knight, for me at least, is the persona that speaks out, that is truly trying to understand the world around him, truly trying to just fathom how wildly different all the humans I meet are. I'm one of them, and I'm trying to see where the bounds and boundlessness of our experiences are. And so as I meet every single person, they're so different, they're so complex, they're so full. And I'm a very sentimental person, very empathetic person. So I wanted to have a podcast to let me be empathetic, still talk and meet people, still share experiences, and then through the podcast, share a bit of that experience with the people who listen in. So,
that, and I can understand that sentiment. But if you are a sentimental person, if you are a romantic, wanting to express that, and then needing to create something, a venue to express it, because in our world, society today, it's not really that conducive to the sentimental.
Not at all. Not at all. I'm in the firm belief that, at least in my understanding of what capitalism is and what it has become, and like the fact that our culture is made that almost a faith of being American, that's peculiar to me, because capitalism seems to reward being a bit of a sociopath. If you disconnect from, if you disconnect from humanity and disconnect from, like, hey, humans need food, shelter, water, medicine, time to rest. The more of those you ignore, the more quote unquote efficient you can be as a business. And like that does scare me a little bit about, as a realization about capitalism, about the systems around it. Because I don't want it to be true. But then I just look at how the country was kind of built, and what capitalism meant for the country. We used humans as capital. We literally ignored humanity, used humans as capital. Then we're able to be the best capitalists on earth for several centuries. Like that's, I don't know, the proof's right there. It's right there. And it does startle and scare me, because there are people who will still say, well, what else is there? What possibly could we make? Anything that doesn't require ignoring humanity. I don't know. Anything else would be, let's figure that out then.
Yeah.
If you don't know, and I'm at least wanting better, I think we should talk about what could be better, so that's
one of the, it's an unfortunate thing. And so like in psychology, when you hear about like Freud or Jung, different psychologists that came up with these frameworks and ways of thinking, they come up with this modality, and and one of the things I noticed is that, so then I came up with this way at Lyrian theory or something like that, and I got to get all of existence in this one theory, and I exclude everything else, right? And so then like I think that's what we do with the capitalism. So so like or socialism, and we say we in and of itself, it's not an objectively bad or good thing. It's what we do with it.
It just is a tool,
and then I don't have to think that I can define all of existence out of capitalism or socialism. Like maybe it's an idea and it's inefficient in some ways, and we're going to need, hey, there's a need here, there's brokenness here, so we need to come in and get something to compensate. And if this isn't working, then we don't have to feel like we are violating some truth to come to something else, So I agree with you. It's unfortunate to see us fighting so much over ideas that we make ethics, while ignoring the actual pain that's occurring amongst people, in the world. So, yeah.
I think a bit of it comes from like creating a binary or the binary that exists a lot of times in people's minds. You're talking about how those emotions, kind of sentimentality, isn't even really respected or talked about in the. I don't want to keep getting political, but it's not even political. It's just it's emotions, like sentimentality, being empathetic, connection. That directly goes into when people talk about the loneliness epidemic that's going on. Well, when you don't feel like you can connect, you don't feel like your emotions have anywhere to go. It's it's easy to feel very lonely. It's easy to feel disconnected. And we have a culture that built itself on, if you're disconnected, you will do better. If you're connected, you will do worse. That's the binary we try to create. Pull yourself up on your boots. Stop being lazy. Just work. Why are you complaining that you aren't successful enough, or you're not getting help, or you're not? Just work harder. That seems weird to me. I don't know. I don't think that's a healthy thing to just tell children or elderly people, or maybe people who don't have rights. And so then when I hear people say that, I feel like they're ignoring when like women didn't have rights. Like half our population would pull yourself up from your bootstraps. What?
I don't have any bootstraps to pull myself up.
What are they supposed to do? You know, children can't do it. Elders, they're often disabled. They literally can't reach the bootstraps to pull themselves up. Like it's a weird, earn a living or die, I guess. Weird dichotomy, weird binary that we create in finding how do you deserve to live, making your worth in society. I don't drive with it anymore in capitalism. I'm not happy with it. I think I don't know. I think it's a really healthy release for people to realize that capitalism's kind of rough right now.
Yeah.
Might be important to think about how government works right now, and how as a tool, capitalism as one of the many forms and tools of government has been used in the country. And I just don't have the patience for people anymore who say capitalism is the only way. Yeah. That's weird to me.
It's unfortunate that we have such a what you mentioned about knowing how government works. There's such a need right now for people to know that, and there's so much apathy, or on the one hand you have this overwhelming preoccupation with meritocracy, like merit and ability, but then on the other hand, we can be so caught up in entertainment that we don't understand the systems and structures that govern our society. So then, and because we don't know that, we can't come up with something to add and contribute to better. To better. So sometimes people are looking at, I heard someone say, no one's coming to save us. Like they're looking for someone to come in.
Yeah.
And when we could, if we're engaged and we understand, oh, you mean there's an upper and lower Congress? You know what I'm saying? This is how a bill is created. And then we come in with these new ideas that, there's a way to solve this. But we have to get out of the apathy, or just sometimes I feel like an avoidance of a desire, escapism, desire for entertainment, and not also that desire to be engaged, connected.
I think that individualism that definitely we talked about earlier, but also we just said a lot of the bullet points that showcase a lot of the individualism comes from that meritocracy we kind of build up in the country, but it seems like an unfounded meritocracy. The country is not evidenced to actually respect the merit of the people in the country. So when we see the individualism now pop up, it can't help but create apathy. If you see people who are more successful than you, the country says you're supposed to view them as competition and want to bash them down and make their lives worse and your life better. So if you see people less than you, they're supposed to be working for you. It doesn't actually breed hey, care for your fellow human.
Yeah.
And so it builds this, it started back, I think, with the nuclear family idea, but we created this idea of the nuclear family. That's how you actually build happiness. Just make the nuclear family, live, be in a suburb, work your 9 to 5. That's it. That does, none of that builds connectiveness with your neighbors, honestly.
Oh, yeah.
And yes, there's the image of suburbs and kids playing, but also you're 30 minutes from any form of work, from any form of healthy food, from any form of actually making and building wealth. And we see that, I don't know, as a little historian dude, a lot of other cultures, they have the markets and shops right next to homes and right within the plazas, connected to the homes. And so people are able to daily see one another, connect with one another. I think we lost a lot of that, again, with just building that individualism.
Are we recording?
Oh, by the way, yes, we started recording.
Oh.
Yeah. I saw a while ago.
Okay.
I love it. Greetings. This is Wonder Night. Thank you for joining us here. This is an awesome episode. I'm very excited to introduce y'all to Michael James. He is a psychotherapist, father, and man of faith. And I think that the conversations we're going to have with him is going to be very enlightening, and maybe give you a bit of perspective. Uh, Michael James, please.
I'm glad to be here. Thanks for having me.
Glorious, glorious. So please tell us a bit about what psychotherapy is, and is that different or similar or the same to being a psychologist or therapist?
So when we say therapist, there's all kinds of therapists out there. Like you can have a massage therapist or whatnot, but the psychotherapist relates to helping people with psychological, so let's say biopsychosocial emotional concerns. So we run the gamut. My background, psychotherapists can come from various fields. So a psychologist can work as a psychotherapist, but we have mental health counselors, professional counselors, marriage and family therapists. I am a licensed clinical social worker. So that's the background I come from. And as social workers, we tend to, we love the psychological piece, but we also love the person in their environment. So we don't just see like just your mind, but we want to see the system that you're connected to. So all the people that make up you. So there is Edward, and he is an individual, but Edward is also a community. And if I want to help Edward, I want to connect with him, but I also need to know something about that system that he's a part of as well. So, and so as a psychotherapist, what I do is I get the privilege and honor, I feel like, to get to enter the lives of people, and share with them some of the struggles that they have, and help them figure out for themselves. Like I support them and figure out for themselves, how do they find resolution to some discontents that they might have, whether it be within the self or whether it be within that system that makes them up.
I cherish that you bring up the word system. I don't think it's an overplayed word. I think it's extremely important for people to really understand systems and how systems work in the world, cycles of systems work in the world, not just in like a political standpoint, but from a health standpoint, from a psychotherapy standpoint. Man, I loved how you describe it. I do believe that for everyone. Everyone is a community of the souls around them, the nature nurture effects around them.
Yes,
it absolutely matters what variables around them are actually impacting them. In your current work, what would you say is something that is your current muse? What is something inspiring you for your work in the moment?
So, and it may seem like, I say I'm a psychotherapist, and when I say the muse, you may say like, wait a minute, like how is this different?
Yeah.
Because in my practice, I focus in helping couples and people with trauma. But my current muse would be some Scouting America, which used to be called the Boy Scouts. So, so Scouting America it inspires me right now. When you say muse, I'm thinking like something that inspires me.
Okay.
And so when I think of Scouting America and what it does and how it brings children and families together, it inspires me. And then something else, again, that might seem counterintuitive, but when you add in the social worker piece, that may make some sense as well. But there is a game called Infinity Rising. It's an MMORPG game.
Okay.
And so I'm pretty excited about it, but it inspires me because I think about and I know this might sound kind of crazy, but the community that can be created and fostered through gaming, and you can create some very powerful things. So those are two things that inspire me.
That's awesome. I directly see how psychotherapy is involved in both of these aspects.
Good. Thank you. Good.
Definitely know that through gaming, personal relatability there, but I know through gaming, definitely it's the stories and worlds that people are able to visit. They've been gateways for, I don't want to jump as far as to say rehabilitation, but definitely the ability to find your creativity, to find your ability to explore, to find your desire to adventure. At least I know that's what I've seen from, the healthiest examples of being able to use gaming. I love MMOs. I love them. They're a lot of fun, and there's a lot of explorative value to them. There's a lot of friendship value to them. With the Scouts of America, can you tell me what your role in that is?
So I've been an assistant scoutmaster. I recently started a new troop, and so I'm going to be the scoutmaster of this new troop.
Where's this troop?
So South Palm Beach County.
That's awesome.
So Delray Beach. So think Delray, Boynton, Lake Worth type area.
Sweet.
And so so my role is to basically bring the kids together to help them learn skills and activities. Like on the face of it, scouting is learning skills and activities, and it seems very a lot of meritocracy in that because it's like learning skills and whatnot. But really, that's like secondary. Even tertiary. The primary thing is that they get to connect with each other, and in the process of that, they find self-value for themselves, and they learn how to value other people. And I have 3 kids. All 3 of them have been in scouting. And one of the things that I saw, though, that's really important for scouting to work is that you can bringing families together. It's not it's not just about kids. It's not like scouting can be very profound and effective. If you think of our society today, we don't have a lot of traditions in American culture where we stop and we say to young people, like, you matter, you have value, right? And so scouting can give you some of that. But what I learned is that when you bring, it's not just about bringing kids together and dropping them off and people and the parents disappear.
Yeah.
But the profound effect is when you bring the families together and the families connect around the kids, and then that community now, so you got the community and the kids, but you got the community in the families that of the parents of these kids.
Yep.
And when they come together and together they speak in the lives of the children,
yes,
boom, exponential effect for the kids and for the families as well.
Absolutely. I directly see that same effect in working at the Renaissance Fair the last 15 years and frankly going around South Florida, and then recently visiting the Vegas Festival, the South Carolina Festival. All throughout these fairs, there's the fair kids, but they're literally watching people who are blacksmiths and carpenters and chefs and people who are building tent cities, basically, and they're learning these skills. And there are kids I know who are 12, 13, 15 years old, and they know sword fighting, how to ride a horse. They know how to actually create their own fire, make their own food, and they're ready to go off and like build their own house right now. Like,
nice, awesome.
You're directly seeing those skills being used. And I gotta then challenge that the meritocracy. I don't think it's a meritocracy thing. I totally think it's just we need skills to just survive. And I think, frankly, we've taken a lot of those trade skills out of schools, and so it's so important to build those skills, just survival skills, orienteering skills.
Yes.
Shoot, ROTC taught me a little bit of that, and just in high school.
Yeah.
So I definitely know the importance of a lot of skills that they have.
Yeah, I agree with you 100%. I think having the skills for survival is important on a physical level, and then on a psychological level, when you're capable,
the confidence,
when you feel like you count, and so when you have the skill, it's not so much about, when I say meritocracy, because almost always today it's like, who are you better than, and then you're evaluated, how good are you at this? But it's not so much about that, but it's about being able to contribute. I feel like I count and I contribute, and then I can pass that along to somebody else. Like, can you imagine, there's something you think about in the past, children could, when you were 12 or 13, 100 years ago, you had ability and capability that you could pass to someone else.
Already.
You even feel like you contributed to the family in a meaningful way. And then now today, how do we give that to a 12 or 13-year-old, say, I got an A on this paper, but what did that really do for my family? You know what I mean? So when they learn these skills, like the skills you were just talking about, that's something that I feel like I can be proud of, and I can give it to somebody else. Yeah.
Oh man, just in the last little line there you said about the A and like what value does that bring to my family? I don't even know how many friends I've talked to, and yeah, we do complain like, cool, we have a paper that says we're smart. What does that do for my family? How does that necessarily go on to help my family? And the answer is, of course, go on to earn a living. But The fundamental problem is that we have to quote unquote earn a living. That's where the issue comes from, is we have these kids who are then stressing out, anxious throughout every single grade, every single grade level, and they're trying to make sure they accomplish certain goals, but what skills are they learning through these goals? You know, yes, we need the scientists, we need the doctors, we need the lawyers. Have we made sure that we also respect and pay well the plumbers and the quote unquote essential workers and the burger flippers, and how is that affecting their mental health and affecting mental health than the opposite side? So sorry. Go on.
No, you're right. Everyone. So here's the essential fact. Everyone counts.
Thank you.
And we need systems and structures that demonstrate that for individuals. For me, like, I need to be able to feel that, and other people need to be able to see it. And sometimes, like you mentioned, you said the burger flippers, or if you're stocking shelves, or no matter what work you're doing, you plumbing. I think the trades are the greatest work. Plumbers and electricians, like,
they make bank.
I was just gonna say, you talking to millionaires, right?
Oh, right, thank you. Like, why did we grow up making fun of? What were we doing? They were making bank.
I wish I had the talent and skill, but but everyone needs to feel that they can count, and sometimes that's going to be in your work, but often it won't be, and we need to be able to feel that.
Yeah.
You know. Yeah.
I think a lot of people find that worth when they just have genuine friendships. That I've seen in also a lot of my acquaintances, friends, co-workers, family members. I see it all the time, where just by having a healthy connection and community of friends, they can find worth. You know, we see it all the time in the friends that are like the mothers of the group, you know. Sure, there's guys and girls that pull all right, what are y'all doing in here? What's going on? And they're the watcher of the group, making sure everyone else is all right. And everyone cherishes them for that, you know, and they'll grow up their whole life with a lot of their friends loving them, only knowing the best things about them. I definitely am happy that I think more and more people are coming to realize that we need to build those not only trade skills, but also just those like social skills and those emotional skills. Please go ahead.
Well, I was just going to say that when you said that about the friendship, so that's what inspires me about, believe it or not, Scouting America and Infinity Rising. Like, I see friendships can be formed through these groups that could create community, and when something brings acceptance, belonging, connectedness, and security. So, and I throw those words out there, but they're really profound if you think about them. How do I find acceptance? How do I find belonging? How do I feel connected? How do I feel security? I call them the ABCs of mental health. And so, if you can have that, though, like, if you can, and we put a lot of focus on education, which is important. Don't get me wrong. I got 3 kids, and I want them to do well in school and get their education. But you could be very successful and not have great education, to not have done super well in school, right? Yeah. Because if you can have confidence, right? And you will have confidence if you feel accepted, belong, connected, and have security at a young age. And so, what you said about friendship is so important. Something just missing for, we talk about kids, but adults.
Yeah.
You imagine being 35 and you're trying to find friends and connect with other people. And so people don't have those ABCs, and then they don't know how to foster them. And if I don't have that within myself, and if I don't have that in a community to foster it, so I think having others to speak that into your life is essential. And that like, if I see something that does that, I want to be a part of it.
Yeah. Heck yeah. I have to ask before we continue. Please tell me about Infinity Rising.
So Infinity Rising, like I said, it's a MMORPG, which there are lots of games like that. Something that's unique about this game that is that so behind it is blockchain. So crypto is behind that. So what that gives you is that, so imagine World of Warcraft, a lot of different games. You can you imagine all those skins or things that you create and you craft. Well, you can actually own them, in Infinity Rising. So like if you're into gaming, right?
Yeah.
That just like okay, because this is I didn't even know this, but this is a $3 billion industry on in-game currency and in-game assets and things that are. So now imagine if you can create that sword or that I don't know, that shirts, clothing or whatever that's used in the game, and now that's something that's actually tradable, sellable, and you own it. And imagine if you could even possibly get royalties from creating it. Whoa, like so I think of that gives people a lot of buy-in to something like that. And so I've, in the back of my mind, I haven't like said that's something I would want to like I'm going to do that, but in the back of my mind I think about, would it be amazing to have a guild? So Infinity Rising had there are guilds,
of course,
and so wouldn't it be amazing to create a guild in this type of thing, that and the community that would be fostered and the friendships that will come out of it would be pretty amazing. And then I'll add in there too, there's a little so that's a space. Gaming is a space that people of color do not traditionally, we don't dominate in that space, right? So it would be cool to be a part of, not to the exclusion of others, right? But it'd be cool to be a part of bringing more of us to experience that community.
Something that is mindful of bringing more people. I agree. As a project, that's always reverse racism. No. Calm down. The goal is inclusion, and that is the energy that it is about. So it's not an exclusion thing. No, it does matter what the energy of and the intent of it is, for sure.
Exactly.
I have to then ask, just again, kind of summarizing then a little bit of everything we've been discussing. How has this this personal purpose of yours been created, and was there a spark that caused it in life, or was it been something that's been growing over time?
So I would say the personal purpose for me is to create community, and it comes from so the name of my practice is Unity in Diversity, psychotherapy, and I want to see unity in diversity. Sometimes we see diversity and we think of it as a problem, like conflict, and we can't come together, right? So, but I think that there can be a lot of, not there can be, but there is a lot of unity and diversity is important, and it's not like against us. It doesn't create it. Yes, there will be conflict, but through the conflict we can have peace and freedom, right? So that's what I personally experience in my faith, in my personal faith. I am a Christian, and so in experiencing that unity and that diversity, that acceptance and grace, mercy, belonging, all of that ABC stuff that I was just talking about, that inspired me to want to see other people experience that community within themselves and within the community and connectedness around them.
Glorious. I heavily support this. I'm definitely a person who just, again, very sentimental. I believe in the impact of community. I believe in the growth and evolution that happens in humanity, locally, nationally, internationally, when there is connectedness and when community is put to the forefront, when we are actually building the groups and people around us. That's why people even say, voting locally is what actually matters more than just voting for presidents and whatnot.
Yes,
so
you're preaching now.
I'm telling you, man. How and what? So what do you currently imagine your societal influence to be, or I should better say, what influences from society impact how you want this to really work out as you move forward with the Scouts of America?
I think about right now we have I think in a society there's a big value of individualism. I think we raise it to like an ethic. And don't get me wrong, like I said, you are an individual, I'm an individual, but we're also a community. So when we prioritize one thing to the exclusion of everything else. So if you think of a person and their psyche, right, their whole personhood, if I value and put an emphasis on the individualism to the exclusion of community, then that's going to hurt me. And I think it's hurting us as a society. we were talking earlier, and I think you said something about being in suburbia, in the idea of suburbia, like we don't necessarily doesn't kids playing in the street, houses on the corner. A lot of us live in suburbia. We don't know our neighbors. I was in seminary, and there was this paper given out in the seminary, and it had these houses,
Yeah.
right? And there's a house in the center, and then there's houses all around it. And they asked, so these are pastors, and they're asked, your house is in the middle. So now I want you to write down the names of your neighbors. And how many folks would start
mind boggled immediately. Yeah.
Exactly. Like so we in our individualism, we are not necessarily connected, and we're living next to, in proximity to folks that we don't
complete strangers
don't know. And so what does that mean for getting help? What does it mean for the ABCs?
Ooh.
And things like that?
Yeah.
So in answer to your question, that individualism in society, seeing that raised to an ethic, is something that I want to help. Not that not against individualism, but I want to raise up the other aspect of who we are.
Mm-hmm.
We are a community as well, that we value that, and we get the benefits of that part of our personhood. Mm-hmm. And then the other thing is loneliness. There is an epidemic of loneliness that's going on in our society, and young people feel it, kids feel it, and adults feel it, and we don't know. We're caught up in whether it be entertainment in different silos, and we don't know how to reach for each other. So if I could be a little small part in Scouting America to help people learn how to connect, and through that build up their self-value, and then hurt people. You ever heard that expression?
Oh yeah.
Well, guess what? Loved people love people. So if I could be a part of people feeling like they belong and they're connected, and then they can then do that for someone next to them, like I love for my life to be a part of, about that.
Mm-hmm. I think, oh man, one quote just kept popping in my mind as you were talking, and I forgot where I heard it from years ago, but basically, be the adult that your child version needed, wanted to see and be inspired by.
Yeah, that's great.
I say it all the time now. I'm thinking about it, but no, that if you become that person who is hope, who is love, then you get to give hope. You get to give love to others, and as someone who is actively dealing with and in education as well. Like the realization you see on a kid's face when they see that they are being accepted and belong, and they see that they're being cared for, that is an amazing feeling. And we're able to immediately see that they get one more point towards being a person of love and being a person of hope, being a person of creativity who can then share that with others and, go on sharing that aspect of community. I then want to ask, in your roles as psychotherapist, you said you deal with loved ones and trauma.
Excuse me. I deal with couples. Yeah, so primarily couples therapy, and then trauma. So people who have gone through trauma in life, like childhood trauma.
Mm-hmm. If comfortable sharing, are there any very standout stories that kind of shaped how you deal with your clients or anything? I'm not that you need to tell the stories of clients, my God.
Yeah.
But for you as a person, you are a person though. Have there been experiences for you that were just really shaped how you feel about your profession?
Well, to be sure, my client stories have definitely shaped things for me. But I don't even have to delve into some of theirs. I'll just go for myself.
Okay.
Yeah. My own insecurity. I grew up in a family feeling my parents were great. Charles and Dolores James were really loving parents, but even though they were good parents, I still felt some of that. Am I worthy? I had that question: am I worthy? And looking for reassurance to the answer to that question, and so I would say that's where that inspiration comes from for that pursuit, that desire to pursue, to give that community, because I grew up having some of those feelings of unsure of my own worthiness, and to be, I think if you want to be, and to anybody out there who might want to be a psychotherapist or do that work, and say, well, how could I be a great, therapist? Do your own work is the, sit down and get into that vulnerable space of going into your heart and mind and seeing what's incongruent and putting it all together. And so for me, there was a lot of insecurity and questioning my own self-worth, and so going in and learning that I objectively have value and worth, irregardless of what I do and who, and what other people might think, profoundly impacted things for me. Yeah.
How often do you see that question of am I worthy come up or be an underlying need for people that you talk to or for your clients?
Oh my gosh. I would say every person. I think that, so this is, one of this is the struggle of the human existence, right?
Yeah.
People manifest this different ways. This is talk about like attachment theory, but we bond and how we bond and connect with people.
Yeah.
Some of us might be anxious where we're questioning like, am I worthy? And it's more of it's kind of on the surface, and I'm looking outside of myself to get that reassurance of am I worthy? But others of us might be a little bit more complex in how we present it, because we're kind of like, I don't want to be, if I'm vulnerable, I might be rejected and I might be hurt. So you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to wall myself off from my emotions. I'm not going to be open to fully getting connected. You know what I'm saying? And as a matter of fact, let me reject you before you reject me. Or we might do relationships like this.
Yeah.
We can have a loving relationship, but let's do it at arm's length. That way, neither one of us get fully tied up and we don't hurt each other, right? But all of that is really one saying, maybe I'm not good enough, and the other person is saying, I'm not worthy, and we're one struggling with shame, one struggling with guilt.
Oh man, what is the celestial battle of shame and guilt like in your clients? And like not even in your clients, just in people in general. What do you have any insights into just how shame and guilt really are affecting people, or lately even?
Yeah. I think that so the battle with shame and guilt fosters cognitive distortions for us. So we behave in a way that we don't even realize and know what we're doing. So so on the surface, if you say, I want to go over here, right? But then we're doing this. We're going to the right. So I want to go to the left. And I'll just give an example in and of myself. So on the one hand, I say, hey, I want to foster community, right? I want to see people connected and see people accepted and belong. And so that's a real strong desire of my heart, and it's sincere and genuine. But at the same time, if I'm struggling with my own worthiness and I'm struggling with shame, then I might find myself prioritizing my pursuit of significance over my own kids. So in other words, I want to see Scouting America come together, right? And I want to see this Guild and Infinity Rising come together. But man, one of the greatest places of community that I need to be focused on is making sure that my 3 kids get that acceptance, belonging, and connectedness and security. And if I'm struggling with shame, I might pursue having a meeting, right? And not make sure I spent that quality individual time with my kids.
Wow. Okay. I definitely thank you for the insight on just how shame and guilt can definitely be affected, and giving your own example for it. I know as an artist, there's always the struggle of just doing things on time, and there's always the struggle of how is our expression? I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. Forgive me. So I swear I'll be better about my time management. I swear. And of course, how our expression will actually be received by the public. I think that because we've lost a lot of that community aspect, and we're just surrounded by strangers, my God, is it a difficult time for artists and creatives to find that inspiration that should be coming from community, that should be coming from from the lived experience around others. And in order to have that lived experience, transportation is required. And because transportation is required, you need gas, or you need a car, or you need bus. Well, that means you then have to go at least 15, 20 minutes away to handle any form of getting to a location that requires connection, because now everyone's worried about, well, can you come to my house for connection? Is it weird to come to my house for connection? Is it actually all right? In the past, it was weird to call upon your friend and just randomly show up. So now in today's, do you show up? Nope. Okay, you go out in public. If you go out in public, a plate's $20. And so now it's like $100 to go out if you're hanging out with friends. We were all introverted to start. So now we're just angry to go out. We're all broker. And did we even have enough time to communicate in the way that we needed?
Yeah.
It's a lot. And I definitely then still trying to find time to do art and do creative things. A lot of friends get home from work and they're tired after 20 minutes of thinking about their own free time.
Yeah.
Immediately they're like, all right, I got to go to sleep and do it all over again tomorrow.
Yeah.
And I don't want to assume that the loneliness and depression epidemic is coming from we've lost a lot of our free time. I don't know if adults for all history have just not had a lot of free time in general, but I don't know. I see a lot of friends just saying the same things now and saying there's that disconnect.
With that, you raise a great point. If I'm an artist and I see myself as an artist as well, not in the traditional sense, but if I'm trying to create community, or if I'm trying to create visual arts or performing arts, can I just do that without preoccupation on how am I going to survive? How am I going to eat? Can I be encouraged in the doing of that? Can I just create, can I start this troupe and just try to get it off the ground and not be worried about what I'm going to look like if it fails? And can I create this visual art and just create it and not be so worried about if everyone's going to receive it or if it's going to sell 1 million copies? And man, what would be lost, right, if we can't just create for creation's sake?
Yes.
What might be lost in the midst of that?
If I could interject.
Oh, yeah. Plot twist.
So I only interject when we're having meaningful conversations. I usually don't interject in the interviews. This is my second time ever. Ever.
Love it.
But I get a lot. You see me doing all the techie audio and video things. I get a lot where people I tell them, yeah, I like to do videography on the side, but I like to do podcasts on the side. They're like, oh, do you have a service? You could make money off of that.
Monetize it.
Yeah, dude, I'm like, no.
Prove your worth.
I don't do that. I'm like, I hate commodifying my talents or my hobbies, because then it becomes a job. And to me, I don't need the fact that I would kind of need several jobs to live is kind of messed up. But this one thing is what I like to do for fun. Is how I get my creativity out. It's how I kind of try to portray my my active mind to the world. And the fact that you even come to me, your first thought is, do you commodify this? Do you make money off of this? I'm just like, no, man, I just like to do this. Now, this is an expensive hobby.
Yeah.
But it's a hobby nonetheless, It's just something I need to do to kind of get my mind off of actual work instead of creating a job for myself all over again.
Yeah. That's good. I think that there's so much can be lost then if I have to be preoccupied with the work of it, and I can't just create for the sake of the creation. Oh, yeah. So if I can't just create just for the sake of creation, but I got to be preoccupied with the work of it, what does that take away from your creativity that you put together? What does that take away from it? And so
I used to write poetry all the time. I stopped writing poetry. My creativity feels like it's been gassed, and it's been what's what I'm looking for, crippled in a way, because I have to think about things technically for my job, and then I come home and I'm tired, exhausted.
Just what he was just saying.
Exactly. Yeah. And I still want to make time for my hobbies, but that ends up being on the weekends. And so now my weekends are like, all right, let me squeeze in my hobbies, doing everything else I have to do prepare for the week. Really, we have one day for a weekend,
Realistically.
Because then Sunday you got to do
Sunday is
all
prep
over
day.
again.
I'm usually cleaning and prepping on Sundays for everything.
Right.
Yeah.
But they'll tell you that the way to get past that is financial freedom. Do this, do that. Create your own this, create your own that. Start a business. I'm like, my brother, I don't want to start a business. I shouldn't have to start a business in order to feel free. You know
what I was actually thinking too is that, so what does that do to the art that's created? If like you said, the first thing people say to you is, you can monetize that, you can make money from it.
Mm-hmm.
So now if people come to the platform of artistry in the pursuit of monetary gain primarily, right? What does that do for the art that's created? But then also, what does it do to the person? Because what if this person would not have pursued artistry, but something else? Like, there's more than just artists, right? Right. So what if they would have been a technician? What if they are a manager, but they thought, I could be an influencer, so I'm going to pursue this thing of art, creating this art for the monetary gain, and exhaust themselves in the process.
It also bastardizes the art. Because now you're just putting something out there just to make money. Now it doesn't mean anything to you anymore. It's lost all meaning. It's lost all creativity. Now that's how I see a lot of things being made through AI.
Yep.
It's easier now. If it makes money,
it's easier.
But whatever, I'm done talking.
No, man, you're fine. I'm with you on that, man. Art has always been a really prominent battlefield of the mind. I think that has always been. Always been. Even I consider comedians artists as well. Frankly, it is extremely difficult to be an effective comedian, and it is an art. It is a skill, and there's a reason politicians get mad at comedians, and they're some of the first people attacked. It is being an artist, being people who are able to draw representations of reality and have pictures worth 1,000 words. Any and everyone's able to see a political cartoon and be like, my God, that really encompasses everything I'm feeling about it. That's what we're able to do with art and with, satire for these things. And when we lose the ability to make art with meaning, with passion, or we literally make it against the law to protest with art, you are very clearly seeing a devolution, of the mind. You're seeing a devolution of our ability to create and our creativity, and again, just brain power in general. I hope that's not mean to anyone, but no, man, if you don't have art in your society, you get brutalism. You get concrete squares as our new houses instead of wood carved awesome crafts of human ingenuity that we want to give money and time to making. We lose a lot of the color and craft and beauty of life. And we see that with gentrification. We see a lot of, new quote unquote modern homes that I can't stress enough. They're just giant sugar cubes with little rectangles cut out of them. And they're like, yes, the modern era is devoid of all creativity. What are we doing here? I don't get it. What are we doing here? So I have my own issues with that, but I'll leave that alone. I won't get on that too long. I apologize. So we got time for the pod. My bad. So let me go for it a little bit. What are some next big goals you have? I know you're talking about the Scouts. I know you're talking about the game. I imagine those are the two biggest goals you have going on.
Yeah.
Is there anything else that's going on around them, or are there kind of major milestones within those two goals?
Yes. So in the game, I'm kind of that's a kind of hope dream type of thing. So it's kind of on the shelf and just something thinking about. But with scouting, so I just started Troop 1335,
sweet,
which is named after John 13, 34, 35, which is a verse in Scripture where Jesus says, "A new commandment I give you, to love one another. By this the world will know that you are my disciples." And so the premises of this troop is to bring youth and families together to kind of act out some of that loving one another. It's not perfect, it's being perfect and whatnot, but to support one another. And so the next big goal is to recruit scouts for the pack and the troop.
Sweet.
So we're talking about elementary school kids, which is kind of easy. Parents, when you have elementary school kids, you're looking for some place. Yeah, you're looking for them. You want your kids to get connected. But when it comes to middle and high school and the troop,
it's a bit tough.
It's a little bit tougher. So So I'm prayerfully, that's the big goal, is to recruit people so that this troupe can get off the ground.
Sweet. I love that for you, man. I'm really looking forward to seeing the progress in that. And I hope I get to interview you in a year or two in time and just see how far along it's come and if you're able to, what the recruitment's going to look like. I'm very excited for that. And I hope through just people hearing about this really know and hear that there are people who want to build community out there. There are people working to build that community and camaraderie. It's so important to not only just build, I live next to this person. It's also important to build, I would go like hang out with this person and like have a happy, like fun time with their person. I'd let my children like go play with their children. I'd watch their pets for them while they're out of town. Like that's what we need to build in community.
Yeah.
And things like the Scouts, I'm sorry, but it goes back to something I talked to Crest about where, I'll tell everyone, I feel like ROTC should be, or frankly, any of the academies should be something that every high schooler must do. And it's not nationalism. No, but it is like, just learn the skills of how like a country is maintained.
Yeah.
Just learn one of the academies, learn why a fire department exists, how and what law enforcement can and might look like, how and why a military exists. I can be as peace-loving as I want, but I'm also American. I understand why guns exist. And so, like, I'm sorry, like, you can be peace-loving, but you got to learn why you defend what you love, how to defend it, and what traits to then work towards defending. LDR-ship. We'll talk about that later. ROTC. But I'm with you on that, man. Please keep on building the camaraderie, keep on building the community. Through all this and building from this, I then want to ask, just to go even deeper into your mind, what is a profound insight that you would like to leave with people, or even a profound question you would love to answer for people?
So I answer that. Before I go into that, I want to say you mentioned ROTC a couple of times that you did that. So I just want to affirm that. I was in the Coast Guard. I was in the U.S. Coast Guard for 9 years. So I can really value that and appreciate it. The things that young people would get out of ROTC. So you said something that I would like to say. Can you answer that question?
For sure, no problem. This is a question I love to just ask all the different different guests we have, but it's a profound insight. Whether it be, what question would you like asked to you that you could answer and rant on forever, or if you had the world's ear, what's something you'd like to tell them?
Okay, I got you. Okay, so let me I'm going to answer the question, but first let me give a foundation for where my answer comes from first. So I think that there's two most important things would be, and some may disagree with this and whatnot, so I give allowance for that. But the two most important things is to love God with all your heart, mind, and soul. And that's something you don't need to be preoccupied with, because I think God really takes care of that for you, and that's a whole nother conversation. But then to love others as you love yourself. And so now wait a minute. If I'm supposed to love others as I love myself, then I need to love myself, because the foundation to love others starts with me loving me, right? So I would say that the first thing I would like to tell people would be, if there's discontent in your world, if things are not working out the way you would want them to, get curious for a second and ask yourself, how well am I loving me? How well am I valuing myself? How well am I appreciating me? How well, like, do I even know what it is that I want? Because if I can't put my finger on that, and I can put my finger on what others want, what they want, but I can't put it on mine, then I might not be valuing myself very much and very well. So start there. Number one is to ask that question, to love yourself, and am I loving myself well? And that gets most people, but not all people. The second part of this is, the rest of us struggle not so much with self-love, but it's the loving others. And so I would tell people, this insight would be that the height of maturity is interdependence and not individualism. And so to really value If there's discontent within the self, or if it's within others, if things are not going right in your life, again, ask that question: is there interdependence in my life, within my marriage or romantic relationships, in my friendships with my siblings, with my family? And if not, let's get curious to see how we can foster some peace in those spaces.
Wow. Yeah. Thank you for that. That is a really wholesome amount of information to digest. I'm very grateful for people who are genuinely trying to build community and trying to build care amongst one another. I really think there's been just a large disconnect of, I keep saying it, not trying to, beat a dead horse, but like empathy. We need more empathy in the world. We need more empathy in our neighborhoods, in our country, in our communities. We need more of it. I think people take positivity as cliche now because of the apathy you speak of. I'm a person who even, as a proud American, life, liberty, pursuit of happiness, democracy, equality, like I do not think those are cliche. I don't think they're just tropey. I think those are genuinely, radically amazing ideas if actually fought for. If we actually fight for life, the ability to live all 100 years safely, liberty, making laws that help us live those years, pursuing happiness, being happy that others are also pursuing happiness. It doesn't need to be a competition. It could just be. I could just be happy for you. I don't have to feel any less than because my friends are doing well. And I remember, I forgot what podcast we were just talking on, but we're talking about FOMO, feeling of missing out. And that comes from individualism. When you feel disconnected from everything else, disconnected from everyone else, you feel like you're missing out. You'll naturally feel like the world's moving on without you when you feel disconnected. But when there's community, you don't feel the need to have to be keeping up with everything and everyone else, especially when phones exist now. And you're actually able to see what's happening to literally millions of people. And you can just swipe through 1 million different people's life. Like that's first of all a terrifying amount of information, but it just builds that apathy we're talking about. My heart, I'm so grateful you came on the podcast today.
I'm so grateful you had me. Thank you, Edward. Appreciate it.
I appreciate you. Thank you. And I really, really look forward to seeing progress in your work and the fruition of your goals and dreams, and to see the things that you hope for again flourish. Michael James, thank you for joining us. This has been Wonder Night.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.